I think that right now I see one of the biggest, if not biggest, disconnect in popular political and economic analysis that maybe I've seen in my entire career. And that's about what is the actual situation with COVID in the United States. So I think that the reason we're seeing these disconnects now is because of the evolution of media, traditional media, and social media. And the disconnect is simple. The United States has actually done a very good job fighting COVID, whether that is a active or inactive effort. The results are coming out pretty darn good. And I also believe that we are on the precipice of COVID almost being over, or functionally as a major impact on society, mortality, etc. If we were to put it in baseball terms, we're in the seventh inning. So when you look at the numbers in aggregate, everyone says, well, it's out of control. Well, it's not actually. Everywhere in the world that has been hit early reached a certain amount of antibody prevalence or just exposure. We don't actually know what that level of exposure is, right? We don't have precise testing. But when you look at Italy and France and the UK and Sweden and all these countries, some of them locked down a lot, some of them locked down a little, some of them did all these flavors. Every single one of them got 2 months in and cases and mortalities collapsed. It doesn't matter the culture, the ethnography, the demography, all of it. So what I'm arguing is going to happen here is we're going to act like everywhere else in the world. So what does that mean? I'm going to tell you something crazy. I think in 6 weeks, we're looking at right now between 500 and 1,000 daily deaths. And again, the data is a little weird. I think that number will be 50 to 100 and maybe less than 50 within 6 weeks. And I don't think it's really going back up. I think you might see it tick up to 125 one day, but I think the war on COVID is almost over, to be honest. And the ramifications for that are manifold.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute, but I want to challenge you on this just a tiny bit. You talked about the disconnect between reality and what's being blared in the headlines. And by the way, as an editor, formerly at news organizations myself, I know quite a bit about that. And, this whole world of clickbait and things like that. So let's say, assuming everything that you say is true, and I'm not in a position to challenge it, what do I know about this? But isn't it possible that the media would continue to, for whatever reason, get clicks basically, just keep pitching the narrative that this is bad, it's getting worse, and we need to shut down and stay inside? And more importantly, what if the government bodies, probably not the federal one with the current president, but if you look at states like you mentioned Texas just closed down again recently as a result of the increase in cases. So what if the narrative that then takes hold is then believed by the government authorities that then go in to impose more lockdowns, which
we'll take that in two pieces. Do I think that the press will ever acknowledge, the fact that they've been so wrong? Absolutely not. They're not in the business of being right. They're in the business of driving engagement. So, and you and I spoke about the evolution of modern media and how, living in the center and being objective is not a good economic model. And, we can maybe touch on that.